Hey, welcome back. Today, we're going to build up your medical terminology powerhouse by mastering 10 absolutely essential prefixes. If you're ready to start decoding complex medical terms with some real confidence, well, you are in the right place. Let's dive right in. So, in our very first explainer, we touched on the basics of word parts. Today, we're zooming in on prefixes. You know, those small but mighty additions to the start of a word that can completely change its meaning. Just think of them as the first clue you get in a medical mystery. Before we really get going, there are two key things to lock in. First, prefixes are not standalone words, they've got to have a root word to attach to. And second, you're always going to see them listed with a hyphen at the end. It's like a little flag telling you, hey, I'm ready to connect. All right, let's get to the good stuff. We're going to break down 10 foundational prefixes, and we'll do it in two parts. We'll kick things off with the first five, and you'll see just how quickly you can start spotting these patterns out in the wild. One of the most common prefixes is hyper. We see this in terms like hyperglycemia and hyperthyroidism. In these terms, the prefix means excessive. So hyperglycemia, that's just excessive sugar in the blood. Simple, right? Now, on the flip side, we have hypo. We see this in terms like hypoglycemia. In this term, the prefix means below or less than normal. It's the exact opposite of hyper. Okay, next up is dia. We see this in terms like diagnosis and diameter. In these terms, the prefix means complete or through. A diagnosis, for instance, is a complete knowledge of a condition. Now for a positional one. We see this in terms like subgastric and subhepatic. In these terms, the prefix means below or under. So subgastric is just below the stomach. Easy. And rounding out our first five is trans. We see this in terms like transgastric and transdermal. In these terms, the prefix means across or through. Think of a transdermal patch. It delivers medicine across the skin. Okay, that's 5 down, 5 to go. But before we move on, let's put this new knowledge into practice. This is really how you make it stick. Now, I want you to look through your course book for other terms starting with the prefixes we've covered so far. Go ahead and pause this explainer. Try to find new examples and match the meanings you have learned. Go on, give it a shot. And welcome back. I hope you found some really interesting examples. Let's keep that momentum going and tackle our next 5 prefixes. Kicking off part 2, one of the most common prefixes is pro. We see this in terms like prognosis and prostate gland. In these terms, the prefix means before or forward. A prognosis, for instance, is knowledge before, a forecast of what's to come. Next up is endo. We see this in terms like endocrine and endocardium. In these terms, the prefix means within. For example, endocrine glands secrete hormones directly within the bloodstream. Moving on, one of the most common prefixes is retro. We see this in terms like retrogastric. In this term, the prefix means behind. So retrogastric is just describing the area located behind the stomach. Nice and simple. And our final prefix for today is aut. We see this in terms like autopsy. In this term, the prefix means self. And autopsy literally means to see for oneself. Okay, so now that you have 10 prefixes under your belt, I want to share a super important rule of thumb. Seriously, this is something that can trip up a lot of people, and it's all about being precise. So here's where it can get a little tricky. We just learned that endo means within, but another prefix, intra, also means within. So does that mean you can just swap them whenever you want? The answer is a big, firm no. Here's the deal, and this is crucial. Medical language is standardized. Even if two prefixes have the exact same meaning, they are not interchangeable. Each term has a very specific, universally accepted construction. You can't just mix and match. For example, when you're talking about the structure that's within the heart, the correct term is always endocardium. That's the standard. You would never, ever say intracardium. It just wouldn't be right. On the other hand, for an injection that's given within the layers of the skin, the correct term is intradermal. You wouldn't say endodermal. So just remembering that these terms are standardized is going to save you from so many common mistakes. It's all about learning the right term for the right context. And there you have it, the top 10 foundational prefixes, and a super important rule for using them correctly. You have seriously taken a huge step in mastering medical language today. Hey, if you found this explainer helpful, do us a favor and subscribe. And make sure you've hit that little notification bell so you don't miss our next one, where we'll tackle medical suffixes. And if you've got a friend who would find this useful, please share it with them.